Hey everyone, and welcome back to Fight Motive for more great boxing news. Today, we have the latest on Crawford vs Canelo. First, let's talk about Turki Alalshikh, who has publicly agreed to fight Canelo Alvarez. This agreement includes a highly anticipated bout against Crawford, scheduled for September 2025.
Canelo here in the kingdom, this arena, on the 3rd of May, and then we have the big fight. And Canelo
As part of the deal, Alvarez will fight Cuban prospect William Skulls on May 3rd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This fight aims to reclaim the IBF super middleweight title, which Alvarez lost in a previous bout. The super fight for September is one of the biggest fights coming up, but the big one, as you say, is Bud Crawford, who is ringside with you, against Canelo. There was a time when I thought maybe that fight wouldn't happen, but now, following this marquee matchup, the fight against Crawford is set for September, with the date yet to be confirmed. This fight is very exciting because it features two of the best boxers going up against each other. The much-anticipated fight between Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is also in the process of being signed. When asked about the status of the bout, Crawford didn't hesitate, saying,
"And Canelo is happening in September."
Yes, it is. It's going to be exciting for the sport of boxing.
Fans can't wait for the official information to be made public because two of the biggest names in boxing are about to fight. Eddie Hearn has weighed in on the possible Canelo Alvarez vs Crawford fight, and he's siding with the bigger man.
Fantastic fight, you know, two generational greats, two pound-for-pound greats. I do think the weight will be too much for Terence. I think even in the Madrimov fight, you saw that physically, I think he's, you know, even at 154, he's not a big 154. He's definitely not a big 160, and he's definitely not even a small one.
Hearn thinks Canelo's size, power, and experience at higher weight classes will be too much for Crawford, who would be making a significant jump up in weight. He even claimed that Canelo could stop Crawford inside the distance.
He has got unbelievable skill, and he's got a huge boxing IQ, but so has Canelo Alvarez, so I do give him the edge in that fight.
Do we see a stoppage?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, wow.
If Canelo's active in the fight, depends. He's got to get to him early. Yeah. Terence will be moving his feet, and Canelo won't like that. You know, he wants you to...
Many fans and analysts are split on the fight, with some thinking Crawford's speed and skill could cause problems for Canelo, while others agree with Hearn that the size difference will be the deciding factor. Then, Bob Arum dropped news on Canelo vs Crawford. Arum, who is not dismissing Crawford's chances against Canelo Alvarez despite the significant size difference, spoke highly of Crawford's skill set, calling him a super talent with a real chance of overcoming the weight disparity. Arum acknowledged that size could play a big role in the fight, but maintained that Crawford's superior boxing skills give him a legitimate shot. It's a big difference in weight with Canelo and Terence, but if any fighter has a chance against Canelo, it's Terence, Arum said. At the same time, Arum stated that picking a winner isn't easy. Canelo has faced bigger and stronger fighters before, but Arum pointed out that Crawford brings something totally different to the table. While size matters in boxing, Arum sees Crawford's unique skills as the X-factor. Terence is a super talent, and he has a real chance, despite the weight disparity, to beat Canelo, Arum said. However, Bob Arum also acknowledged the massive task Crawford faces against Canelo Alvarez, mainly due to the weight difference. While Crawford has proven himself as one of the most technically gifted fighters in the sport, stepping up against a naturally bigger opponent like Canelo comes with risks. It's very hard because of the difference in weight. If I had to bet on the fight, I would bet on Terence because he has more skills than Canelo, but he's giving away a lot of weight, real weight, so that matters, Arum added. At the same time, Arum isn't avoiding the risks Crawford is taking by moving up to fight someone as physically dominant as Canelo, and it could impact how the fight plays out. Still, he thinks Crawford has the mindset and ability to pull off something special.
This is a tremendously skilled fighter. So is Canelo a very skilled fighter, but he doesn't have the same skill set as Terence.
If this fight happens, it won't just be about size versus skill, it will be a true test of whether Crawford's boxing IQ can beat Canelo's raw power. Sean Porter, who has shared the ring with Crawford, thinks that Crawford's adaptability will be key if he faces Canelo Alvarez. Porter recognized that Crawford can be methodical and patient, but also pointed out how, in certain fights, he sticks to a specific strategy rather than adjusting mid-fight.
kind of guy where he's patient enough, knows what he needs to do. But if he prepares for one thing, he comes to the ring and do something different, that I know what it was that night. That night, he knew he had to impress. And he knew that, you know, if you know Terrence's style, he's trying to line up that straight left, you know? And he got to a point where that became, I gotta have this fireworks.
While many are skeptical about the matchup due to the weight difference, Roy Jones Jr. sees a real way to victory for Crawford. He thinks that if Canelo makes even the slightest mistake, Crawford has the skills to capitalize on it and turn the fight in his favor. For Jones, the key to this fight is how Canelo approaches it. He knows that if Canelo gets too bold or strays from his game plan, Crawford could make him pay. It's a great fight for boxing. I know people don't agree with it, but if Canelo fights even 1 inch of the wrong fight, he's going to lose. If he fights the right fight, it's another story. So right now, I think it could go either way, but it depends on what type of fight Canelo fights. Roy Jones Jr. doubled down on his thoughts about the highly anticipated meeting between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, making it clear that size isn't the biggest factor in this fight, it's strategy. Jones, a former multi-division champion, knows what it takes to move up in weight and compete against bigger opponents. He mentioned, if Canelo comes out and does what he should do, he wins the fight. But if he comes out and does what he shouldn't do, Crawford wins. Roy Jones Jr. didn't just analyze the fight, he also gave advice to Terence Crawford on how to beat Canelo Alvarez. A legend known for his ring IQ, Jones thinks that controlling the center of the ring is the key to Crawford's success. If Crawford is allowed to control the center, he'll win. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan isn't questioning Terence Crawford's talent, but he is raising a big concern about whether Crawford can handle the sheer size and power of Canelo Alvarez. As one of the most respected voices in combat sports, Rogan knows just how skilled Crawford is. However, moving up in weight to face a fighter as strong and experienced as Canelo is no small task. Yes, he's going to fight Canelo. Oh man, I just hope he's big enough. I hope he's big enough to keep that dude off him because Canelo hits so hard. Man, that's one dude who, like I believe all he be talking about Crawford, yeah, he's good. They tried to say that Errol Spence was damaged because of what Crawford did to him, because he was damaged from the car accident. I'm like, maybe, or maybe Crawford would have done that 3 years ago. Many fans and experts share the same doubt. Can Crawford, who has dominated smaller opponents, deal with the relentless power of a true super middleweight? Despite the size deficit, Rogan made it clear that Crawford's skill level is among the best in the sport. He highlighted Crawford's ability to switch stances easily, something few fighters can do at an elite level. This versatility, along with his sharp fight IQ, makes him a dangerous opponent for anyone. Rogan thinks that if Crawford can use his movement and timing to control the fight, he has a real chance. But against a powerhouse like Canelo, the margin for error is razor thin.
He's just so skillful. He's so slick. And when he gets, and he's also the best guy in the sport at switch hitting. He'll go from southpaw to orthodox and be just as good and trip you up. Like you think he's going to start southpaw, he starts orthodox. You prepare for orthodox, he's fighting southpaw. He feels like he's got you timed better orthodox, he'll switch it up. You know?
Super accurate.
Oh, just knows so much about boxing, about where to be and what's coming.
Brian "Bulk" McIntyre fired back at critics who downplay Terence Crawford's resume, making it clear that Crawford's power is what makes his opponents look average. His point was simple: Crawford's skill level is so high that he dismantles top opponents with ease, making them look lesser. This is the same argument many have made when discussing whether he can fight with Canelo Alvarez. While some question Crawford's ability to handle the weight jump, Bulk sees no reason why this fight should be any different.
I think Crawford rebuttal was everybody always say he hasn't fought nobody or everybody that he fought was a no name. But I'm gonna tell you like this: what Crawford said, well, they was something until Crawford fought him. So obviously he's doing a great job because he's making everybody look normal.
Bulk doubled down on Crawford's mentality going into the fight, emphasizing that Crawford isn't looking for any special conditions, he just wants to prove he's the best. Bulk said, that's what Crawford wants. He wants to show the world that he's the best. So hey, why put stipulations in there when you know that you can be the best? Let's go test ourselves.
Like I said, it ain't no beef or nothing like that. Like, he normally got issues with everybody he fight, or for the most part, or like he on his antics, or he basically bullying somebody. So, that shit ain't gonna happen over here. But it's mutual. It's a mutual ground of respect.
Okay, now moving on to the most talked about and most criticized fight. Some think this is not a good matchup, Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach. The tension between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach has been boiling over throughout the build-up to their fight, with multiple angry confrontations leading to physical altercations. Despite these clashes, Roach made it clear that while things have gotten heated, there's still a level of respect between them. Roach continued by emphasizing his focus and determination, making it clear that he isn't letting the mind games and physical confrontations leading up to the fight distract him from the end goal, winning. Unfazed by the mind games and physical altercations, Roach isn't just here to make a statement, he's coming to win, and has made it clear that he's willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
The best. I can't let that get in the way of what I'm set out to do. And it's competition. It's competition, and it can only be one winner. It can't be two winners. It can only be one winner. So it's either gonna be you or me, and I'm gonna get you before.
Roach just talked about winning and promised an unforgettable fight. Confident in the matchup, he made it clear that fans are in for something special when he steps into the ring with Davis. Roach said, "It's going to be up for fight of the year, I'm telling you. It's definitely going to be a spectacle, for sure." With all the animosity, back and forth exchanges, and intense build-up, Roach believes this fight won't just be another bout, but it will be one of the most exciting showdowns of the year. Now, the question remains, can he back up his words when the bell rings? Roach also broke down his approach to the fight, making it clear that he's not just showing up, he's coming in with a strategy to test Davis like never before.
You gotta go in there knowing that, like, you ready. And then my thing is, we're gonna see how he reacts if he get hit with this punch, especially a clean.
Lamont Roach Jr. isn't just another name on Gervonta Davis's hit list. He's coming in with a plan, confidence, and a skill set that could make this fight much more competitive than people think. Fox thinks this is a real chess match, not just another showcase of Tank's power.
It'll be competitive. The thing about both fighters, Tank and Lamont, they're both very impressive boxers. A lot of people forget that just because Tank is also a big puncher, but this is gonna be chess. It's gonna be chess. It's gonna be both guys trying to one up each other a bunch.
Fox said Roach is a smart fighter who brings something different to the table. While Tank is known for his knockout power, Roach's boxing IQ, defense, and composure could cause problems that Davis hasn't faced before. Being in the ring with Lamont, his fight IQ is really going to show in this fight, Fox explained. He's very athletic and very alert when punches come back at him. His defense is pretty top-notch.
The equalizer, but the biggest difference I feel in Lamont versus Tank's other opponents, we all know Tank a different way than everybody he's fought against previously.
Fox also compared Roach to some of Tank's past opponents, noting that while Ryan Garcia and Frank Martin had their moments, they didn't have the complete skill set that Roach does. Roach is a smarter, more calculated boxer, he added. "I think people are sleeping on how good he really is."
I think it's definitely going to challenge Tank more than some of the other fighters. Ryan, he had a big punch, but Ryan, to me, has never been an overly impressive boxer. He's a very good punch, very big puncher. You can't deny that. But as far as Frank Martin, he was a good boxer himself, but I think he kind of gassed himself up.
The stage is set for a high-stakes battle, and if Roach can execute his game plan, he might just make things interesting. But with Tank's fight-ending power, the margin for error is razor-thin.
And we want to see the third. We'll see the first fight now. Yeah. Do you think Dimitri Bivol has done enough tonight? Yeah. If Arthur accepts.
Now, onto the Bivol trilogy. Boxing never stops, and the thriller is never-ending. This is the world where both fights between Bivol and Bivol went into controversy, with the scorecards being declined by many pros. Now, amidst all the chaos, a trilogy is being demanded. Even Turki Alalshikh has announced that a trilogy could happen if the fighters agree and have the ability and time to fight again. On Ariel Helen's show, Jim Lampley weighed in on what could come next after Canelo Alvarez vs. Terence Crawford, saying that the winner might move on to face David Benavidez. While many expect a potential rematch or even a trilogy between Canelo and Crawford, Lampley pointed out that nothing is assured.
It's fair to go to a Benavidez fight rather than, not all trilogies have to take place 1, 2, 3, right? You know, in consecutive order. And these two guys have given a great deal of themselves and shown their commitment in fighting the 2 fights that they fought against each other. If either one of them wants to, you know, divert his attention to another fight and engage in another enterprise, I strongly support that. They need to have the right to govern their careers the way.
He stated that despite the hype, neither fighter can be forced into another bout if they feel they've settled things, even if they are ready to move on. However, the desire from fans and promoters could still push for another fight.
Observations in a phone call with a very dear friend of mine who's a great screenwriter and an avid and devoted boxing fan, and his comment was, I want to see Benavidez now.
Yeah.
This is the moment for me to see Bivol against Benavidez.
His comments mirrored the unpredictable nature of boxing. While some rivalries end after 1 or 2 fights, others take on a life of their own, especially if the demand is strong enough. Whether it's Benavidez next or a historic trilogy, the direction of both fighters' careers will ultimately rest on how the first fight unfolds.
We have against Benavidez, you know, whichever fight can be made and should be made, let's go forward to that one. And I understood his thought process and can certainly identify with that. But if we're going to go to the third fight between Beterbiev and Bivol,
His comments mirrored the unpredictable nature of boxing. While some rivalries end after 1 or 2 fights, others take on a life of their own, especially if the demand is strong enough. Whether it's Benavidez next or a historic trilogy, the direction of both fighters' careers will ultimately rest on how the first fight unfolds.
There might have been a hand injury there.
Yeah, no excuses. I've got a hand injury, but listen, that's got nothing to do with the outcome of the fight.
Commiserations.
While enjoying his win and regaining his title, there is a sad atmosphere in the Bever camp. Mark Ramsey reflected on the fight and the intense training leading up to it. He recognized the effort put in behind the scenes, emphasizing the hard work and dedication that went into the training camp. He expressed how much effort went into preparing for this moment and stressed the dedication and sacrifice that took place in the gym. While the result wasn't what they had hoped for, he made it clear that the sport goes on and that there are always lessons to take away from every fight. Ramsey said, "It's a lot of lies. This is a big work behind the scenes with more than 12 weeks of hard work in the gym. The ending of the fight is not what we wanted, but at the end of the day, nobody's dead." Amir Khan weighed in on Hamza Shiraz's controversial draw against Carlos Adams, voicing disappointment in the result. The former world champion expected Shiraz to make a statement, but felt the performance fell short of showing he belonged at the elite level. Khan acknowledged that Shiraz has ability but questioned whether he was truly ready for this level of competition. He noticed that Adams controlled much of the fight, applying constant pressure and making Shiraz uncomfortable in key moments. While the draw saved Shiraz from an official loss, Khan suggested that the performance did little to boost his credibility, especially with talks of a future showdown with Canelo Alvarez.